Alright everyone. Hello everyone. So I'm going to start this video out by saying, first off, I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have any big following base. I got like 11 followers or something crazy. But anyway, what made me think to this video is I'm in a couple of Facebook groups and stuff, and I was helping a guy who's having some problems. He just got a TIG welder. He's having some problems with getting started. So I thought, after I was answering some of his questions and stuff, I was like, well, heck, let's do a video. So first off, like I said, I'm not a YouTuber, so I don't have any video editing software. I'm shooting this off of like a $10 phone holder thing and my cell phone. So video quality is probably going to be terrible, but just bear with me. So what I was thinking about, you got a lot of people, they get a TIG welder and they get home with it and it's like, all right, great, now what? So they start trying to stick two pieces of metal together right off the get-go. Having never done it, it's always very difficult, and they usually end up failing. So I was going to give some pointers out. Anthony Morris, this one kind of is for you, I guess. It's what got me thinking about doing this video. So let's just start with the very, very basics. So you got your TIG welder home. You get it out of the box. You get it all packaged up, everything. So you got everything going. It's probably going to look different than mine compared on what kind of torch setup you got, what brand torch, whatever, but they all got the same basic components. So, this is your TIG torch. This is your cup, insulator, whatever you want to call it. Seals the gas around the cup. So this here's your collet body. Some of them's going to be short, some of them's going to be long, whatever. So a couple things here when you first get started to increase your chances of success. You got to make sure your TIG torch is built correctly. By built, I mean you don't want this stuff in here just loose. Also, you don't want to crank down on it. So what I always do, I'll put my collet body in and then just kind of give me a pair of welding pliers and then just give it a little snug. So that's your collet body. This is your collet. Some of them's longer than others. Some of them's fancy. Some of them's got splits. But anyway, for basic video, basic knowledge, this is your collet body. This is your tungsten. Tungsten's old one. Needs to resharpen. So you're going to insert your tungsten in. But first, what you want to do, so he was having problems, Anthony, he was having problems with some steel. So we'll talk about steel. So to weld steel, you need to be on DC. And you need to have your tungsten ground up point. You'll have the best thing. So I don't know if you can see very well. So just something like that, Some people you can get all crazy with it, and we can go on a whole video and talk about tungsten grinds for 3 hours. This is a basic video to get you started right out the gate. So collet body, collet, tungsten in, ground up point. This is your back cap. That's what locks your tungsten down. That's also what'll seal in your gas. Got a little O-ring right here. You want to make sure that that O-ring is present, not damaged or tore. Your gas will leak out. So you put that in there, just kind of snug it up. So now, Anthony, you're welding steel. So what I always like to run on steel myself personally, like I said, a million different opinions. I'm just trying to help you get going out the gate, but I always like a number 8 cup. So what the 8 stands for, what all numbers on a cup stands for, that is the measurement of the inside diameter of this cup in 1/16 of an inch. So that is 8/16 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch. So if it's a 7, you could get a 7/16 wrench out, lay it across it, it would be exactly 7/16 wide on the inside. So what that tells you, the number, it tells you a few different things on your cup. So you're just getting started. So I run a number 8. This is number 8. So we determine that's 8/16 of an inch. So a 1/2 inch diameter. So on the tungsten stick out, what you can get by with, rule of thumb, whole nother discussion. We ain't going down the rabbit hole, but rule of thumb, your maximum you want is the width of the inside diameter of your cup. So you can stick this tungsten out, obviously not that far, but you can stick this tungsten out as long as the inside of your cup is wide. So that's a good rule of thumb. So you get that set approximately. I ain't gonna measure it right now, but I'm just gonna eyeball it and say that's good. So now you wanna snug this down really good. Now your tungsten's seated. Snug your cup down. So what we done there, we know our torch is built right. The collet body is in, it's in good. I took the pliers, gave it just a little bit of a snug. We're making good contact. We're not leaking gas in places we're not supposed to leak gas. Tungsten's ground, so we're good. Our tungsten's prepped. The cup's on snug. We're not leaking gas out around the cup because it's up against here good. We checked our O-ring on our back cap. It's snug down. Our tungsten's not going anywhere. All right, so we're good now. So our torch is built. So now you got your TIG welder out of your box, set up, and your torch is built. Next thing everyone wants to do, they want to start trying to stick two pieces of metal together. You don't need to do that, not TIG welding. Well, not any kind of welding, you need to practice first. So what I recommend doing is getting you a piece of 3/16 steel. It can be cold roll, it can be hot rolled, whatever, just 3/16, just regular old cheapo steel. You're gonna take you a flap disc, not a wire wheel, on a flap disc. So if this piece of metal didn't have nothing on it, you're gonna flap disc this down until it's a bright, shiny piece of metal. Once it's bright and shiny, get you some acetone and a shock rag. Clean it off with acetone. If there's any little pieces of fabric or anything from your rag, after you've cleaned it up, you want to take like a propane torch or something, little handheld torch, and you want to burn those little hairs off. So next thing you're going to do is once you get that done, metal's prepped, there ain't no mill scale on it. Get all the mill scale, all the rust, you've acetoned it, you have no little paper fuzzies from your rag, you took a propane torch back across them, propane it off. So that's the thing about TIG welding. You know, old stick welding, MIG welding, flux core welding. You could weld this old rusty piece of garbage right here. You could weld that and get by with it. You're not supposed to. That's a whole debate for other people. They're probably going to leave comments saying you can, blah, blah, blah. But by textbook, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to weld clean metal. Other processes, you can hide it and skimp out and you get by with a lot more stuff. TIG welding, it's not forgiving. If your metal's dirty, if it has mill scale on it, if it's got contaminants on it, it's going to show up. It's going to look awful. So, torch is built, metal's clean. So what we're welding right here is 3/16 metal. So that's 3/16. And on 3/16 metal, you want to go, on any metal, rule of thumb, is approximately 1,000, for every 1,000th thickness, you want to go approximately 1 amp. I usually run this about 175 amps, give or take. So you'll set your machine up, you want to go 175 amps. That's what I do. Some people might do a little more, some people might do a little less. It's just to help you get started. So 175 amps. I would not focus just learning how to TIG weld. I would not worry about any kind of pulse TIG welding, any kind of anything extra. So I'd set it to 175 amps. If it's got an option for a pre-flow, I'd do about a half of a second pre-flow. And on the post flow, I would do about a second to a second and a half. So what you can do at the post flow, you mainly, as you weld across through here, whenever you're done welding and you stop, you should hear gas coming out until your tungsten's not glowing and the steel you are welding on isn't glowing anymore. That gas is going to cover and protect that tungsten and keep it from getting contaminants and stuff. It's going to protect your steel because whenever it's hot, it wants to get all kinds of contaminants in the weld puddle. So you can play with that depending on what you're welding. Some people say more post flow, some people say less, whatever. The pre-flow, you just want enough that it gets through the torch line, through it, and onto the metal before it arcs up. That's what you're looking for. So to recap, I'll run about, on this piece of metal, which is 3/16 cold rolled steel, I run about 175 amps on a foot pedal, and then I'm gonna run about, see Seth, y'all have fun. Sorry about that, my daughter's leaving. But I run about 175 amps, and then I half second post flow, second to second and a half, 2 seconds pre-flow. So just starting out, I wouldn't even worry about the filler metal. What I would do is I would take a clean piece of steel. So this right here is one my kids have been practicing on. They've been practicing welding. Been teaching my 13-year-old how to TIG weld, and been teaching my 16-year-old how to TIG weld and stick weld also. Well, my 13-year-old's been learning how to stick weld too. So what I have them do in the very beginning is I wouldn't worry about no filler metal whatsoever. So what you want to do is, if you got a foot pedal, I think I read in your comment you got a foot pedal. So you're going to come over here and just starting out learning how to TIG weld, I wouldn't start on the edge, because your edges, they kind of give you a little bit more problems and stuff, like right in here. I would step in about a 1/2 inch on this piece of metal. I'm left-handed, so I'm holding it in my left hand. I'm starting on the left side of the metal, traveling right. If you're right-handed, you're gonna hold it in your right hand. I don't know how this is gonna look on the video. I don't have any video editing software, but right now, if you're right-handed, you're gonna hold it in your right hand. You're gonna start on the right side of the piece of metal, and you're gonna come towards the left side. TIG welding, you're always gonna be pushing your puddle. Kind of easy way to remember it. When I was taught in school years ago, if welding teacher said if you got slag, you drag. So like stick welding, flux core welding, anything like that, if you're slagging, you're dragging. That holds true for most parts, especially flat position, just starting out, and definitely TIG welding. You want to push your puddle. We don't have any slag, so we're not dragging. So step in about a 1/2 inch on this metal, light up. By light up, I mean get your arc going. So if you got a foot pedal, you're going to come on the foot pedal easy. You don't want to just hit your foot pedal. Roll into it a little easy. Get your arc going. Keep rolling in, and then full pedal. So once you're sitting here, do not move until you start to see the puddle form. That metal, whenever you're looking through your welding lens, I use a green fixed shade number 10 lens. That's what I weld with. But you'll see it arc up, and the metal's green. Everything's green is what I'm looking at. And whenever you're watching it, it'll get real shiny right there where that puddle is. Once you got a real good shiny puddle, then start travel. So I'm gonna switch back to my left hand. It's just more comfortable where I'm left-handed. So as you come across through here, what a lot of people mess up on TIG welding too, they wanna put their weight on their hand. You know, if you're right-handed, you wanna brace up, whatever. You can't do that TIG welding, because then there you try to move, you're all shaky. You get hung up on everything. See how my hand's jerking? Because I got pressure down. You want to kind of sit upright. You want to kind of, this right here, you just want your hand to be able to glide. So whenever you arc up, not much pressure. Like right here, I'm just bracing. Like I'm holding my whole arm up right now, and I'm just stabilizing on this. And as I come across, I'm just pushing that puddle. And what I want you to do, it'll help you out, is practice just pushing that puddle right across through there. So as you're coming across through, what you want to focus on is keeping your tungsten up out of your puddle. And you want to focus on that heat, because as you come across, you're putting more heat into this metal. You might have to start backing up off that foot pedal. So you can tell whenever you watch that puddle, if you're getting, the hotter it gets, that puddle, it starts trying to get wider and wider and wider as you come across. So like it'll start right here real small, and then just keeps getting wider and wider. You're putting too much heat into it, so back up off your puddle. So take your piece of metal about like this right here and just practice running beads like that. And once you got it down pat where you can keep your tungsten out of your puddle, you aren't just constantly, everybody's going to dip their tungsten. That's just the name of the game. You'll get good at sharpening tungstens. So whenever you come across through here and you can keep that tungsten up out of that puddle, and you're watching and you're pushing that puddle, And that puddle's staying pretty consistent on the width across there, and you get good at that. Then start adding filler metal. So once you start then, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. So once you get good at adding filler metal, and you start, or once you get good at running beads, then you can start adding filler metal. So say this right here is your weld. A lot of people have problems adding their filler metal. So say you're coming across there and I'm going left to right. So my direction of travel, I'm left-handed this way. Actually, we'll do it the other way. I think you said you were right-handed. So we'll do it this way. So right hand, direction of travel is left side or right side of the metal to the left side, opposite the way you read. So you're coming across through here, and this right here is your weld puddle. This is your little dimes you're stacking. So as you start, whenever you light up like right here, just again, practice staying off the edge of the metal just till you get good at it. And then you can practice over here. It's just easier if you practice on out in the metal, I find. So light up, you're gonna arc up. I'm gonna hold this right here, and I'm gonna hold it until I got a good shiny puddle. And then once I got a good shiny puddle, I'm gonna dip this filler rod, that I've cleaned in acetone. I've took one of these rags, I've cleaned it, made sure there's no little furry things from the rag. I've cleaned this with acetone because you'll be surprised how dirty your filler rod is, brand new from the factory. So I got a puddle, I'm arced up, I'm gonna add filler metal. We're gonna practice running beads now. So we practiced just running stringers. Now practice running beads. So arc up, got that puddle going. As soon as I arc up, I'm gonna dab it. When I dab it, I wanna keep this filler rod close to my cup and my tungsten. I don't wanna dab it. A lot of people will dab it and then pull it back. And what you done, you just pulled that out of your gas coverage. You got argon coming out. You pulled it out of your gas coverage. Now the end of this right here has got all kinds of contaminants on it because it was glowing red. And then whenever you come back for your next one, you go to dab it and you just put all those contaminants right into your puddle. And then your puddle's gonna look all funny. It's gonna have all these just nasties floating in it. May even have gas holes, all kinds of stuff. So that's what you need to practice. It's coming across. And so I'll dab, pull back, hold it kind of close to my tungsten. I don't know if you can see there or not. So dab, back, and you're just pushing this puddle. So push forward, dab, push your puddle forward, dab, push your puddle forward, dab, push forward, puddle forward, dab. So as you're traveling across through here, say these right here is your stack of dimes. My torch is in my hand right here. Say my tungsten is right here. This is the end of my tungsten. Whenever you look at this, you'll have your base metal. It'll be kind of melted, and you're pushing that puddle in along. So the goal of where I want to dip this at, a lot of people want to dip it right up here on this leading edge. It's too cold up there. Your metal, so whenever you got to dip up on the very edge of that, it'll try to ball up and string off and do all kinds of weird stuff. So what you want to do, textbook, every single dab would be halfway between the distance of where my tungsten's at. So say right here, we're moving across. My torch is in my hand. We're headed this way. This right here is the leading edge of the puddle. This is the melted base material that I'm pushing across through here. All this right here is solid steel ahead of me. All this behind me is a nice row of stacked dimes that I've laid. My tungsten's right here. Every dab you want to put halfway between. So if you had a bionic eyeball and you could do it perfect every single time, your bionic eyeball would want you to put this filler metal right there. It would be halfway between the leading edge of your puddle and your tungsten. So you're going to dab your whole setup, your torch. Your torch is right here, and you're dabbing right here. So then you move forward, and your torch is going to dab halfway between the leading edge and your tungsten, halfway. A lot of people try to dab right up here real far on the edge because they're scared to death they're going to touch their tungsten with their filler metal. And it's going to happen. And when you do, you need to stop and regrind your tungsten. Anytime you get your tungsten down in your base metal, or anytime you touch it, it's gonna get all nasty, so you need to stop and regrind your tungsten. The best thing I ever bought, I get no promotion from this stuff. I got like 11 subscribers, like I said. This here is an Eastwood tungsten grinder. They got them on sale, I think. I hooked a buddy up. I sent him the link on one of them. I think they're on sale right now for $70. It's got a little diamond wheel in there. You can set your tungsten down in these little slots, spin it. Works great. I leave mine plugged in all the time. I mean, it's I use it so much I welded an eye bolt to the end of my table leg over here, and that's where it hangs at. So anyway, once you save this video, rewatch this stuff. So once you get good at running beads, like I said, these are the ones I had the kids out here running. Once you get good, and this right here save a lot of metal and save a lot of material, just run some beads. Run them across through here, stack them up, keep coming across. There's what it'll look like whenever you do it just without no filler metal. You know, you want a good, consistent little bead. I think Jacob ran that one, the 13-year-old. So once you get where you can do that, you know, you run with no filler metal, run with filler metal, keep doing that. Then start trying to put two pieces of metal together and put it all in there. It's kind of like learning to, I don't know, kids that run cross-country track or whatever, that jump the hurdles. They didn't start right out trying to jump hurdles. They had to learn how to sit up first, and then they had to learn to roll over, and then they had to learn to army crawl, and then they had to learn to crawl on their knees, had to learn to stand, pull up, stand up, walk, run. Then they had to learn how to jump, and then they had to put it all together. That's the way TIG welding is. I seen this thing in another group. One of the guys commented, and it said, what's the difference between MIG welding and TIG welding? And it said MIG welding will make everybody who's got a welder think that they're a welder, and TIG welding will show you just how good of a welder you are. And there's a lot of truth in that. MIG welding, it hides a lot of these things that you have to do. Oh, this piece of plate here, that's a piece of 5/8 aluminum I was playing with the other day. Just messing around, doing some aluminum welding. But just practice those basics. Another thing you'd ask about tungsten, said you'd bought some Harbor Freight tungsten. The biggest thing I have with Harbor Freight, and I ain't not just knocking Harbor Freight, any cheap tungsten, cheap tungsten. Like I said in the comment I made to you, some of them, well, they'll be low quality, some of them be high quality. It's just the quality controls the big thing. I'm not saying that no one out there can find cheap tungsten and can't weld with tungsten. All I'm saying is just starting out. Like I get no sponsorship from none of these people. If CK Worldwide or primeweld or Eastwood, if you all see my 11 subscribers and want to send me some free stuff, fire down on it. This country boy, he'll sure take it. But get you some good CK Worldwide tungsten. That's what I use. I'm not saying it's the only good brand out there. It says right in the back of it, made in China. It's an American-based company, but I guess they outsource stuff into China too. But they seem to have a real good quality standard. They must make the Chinese people over there hold a good standard. But because every piece of, like every piece of red tungsten that I've got out of every pack that I own, it welds the exact same as the one before it or the one before it. Same with every piece of green tungsten or actually they call this chartreuse. With an inverter welder, you do not want to run green tungsten. The green is pure tungsten. That's another thing. So welding steel, you can run chartreuse or laser. You can run the red, the old school, if you aren't afraid of the little bit of radioactiveness that it has in it. For whatever reason, there's all kinds of things radioactive. You can run gray, purple. I like the blue. I don't know what I've done with my pack of blue. The blue, I like it a lot because it welds really good on low amps, high amps, welds good on AC, welds good on DC, welds good on AC high amp. I like it all the way around. But if you're just welding steel, any color out there except for green, pure tungsten will be good for you. And you're going to run in DC on steel, stainless, chrome moly, things like that, anything other than aluminum. And on a transformer machine, you're going to want a point. You're going to want to grind it to a point. But anyway, I hope that helped you. I guess I could start doing this as I see questions and stuff, start doing some more videos. If anybody's actually interested in this kind of stuff, I could start doing some videos and little demonstrations like this, kind of like a how-to series to get some people started and into it. If that's something that you all think would be a good idea or something you'd be interested, show some support, share the video, like the video, help me get up past 11 subscribers. And if it seems like that it's actually going to be something worthwhile, I'll get out here and we'll put all this together and we'll practice running some beads and show you. But hope this helps, and until next time, see y'all later.